Alright, so in the previous lecture we created a very basic CSV file, okay, and we called it testdata.csv. And in this lecture, it's going to be very simple. All we're going to be doing is we're just going to display that data and learn one or two ways on how we can play with it. So let's go ahead and import pandas as PD. And then the command I want you to use to read this data is going to be the function pd.readCSV. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, pd.readCSV. And then the parameter that you pass over here is what is your CSV file name. And for that, ours was testdata.csv. So hit enter and ta-da. So we got date ABC and then we have 0, 1, 2. So the 0, 1, 2 here is basically the indexation. You can get the specific rows by doing what I showed you in the previous lectures. Now, with this data, there are many things that we can do. Throughout the next few lectures, we're just going to be using data frames. So the first function that I want to talk about is changing this date ABC. Many times you're going to have your own headers that you want to use. You don't want to use these headers. What can we do to change these? So instead of ABC, I want to make it hello Bob cat, I don't know. And the way we can do that is by calling the function p.readCSV and then pass in the parameter. So we have testdata.csv, comma, we're gonna say names is equal to basically whatever you want to call your four columns. Let's go ahead and call them pizza, cat, dog, cheese. Okay, and if you do that, you have now pizza, cat, dog, cheese. But however, we still have our date ABC. So how do we get rid of that? Well, what you have to do is you have to specify header is equal to none. Okay, and by doing that, it basically removes whatever header was before, and that was a date ABC, and then it'll put the new header, which is pizza, cat, dog, cheese. Okay, so by doing that, well, let's see. No, it's not working. That's odd. So let's go ahead and try putting header equal to 0. I think 0 will help us actually, not none. Yes. Okay. So pizza, cat, dog, cheese is now our new header. We have 0, 1, 2, our rest of the data. When you put header is equal to none, it just made the next our header a new row. So sometimes when you have your Excel data, you won't have a header. You'll just have that data. It'll just be whatever this is. You won't have that ABC stuff. So what you can do then is you'll say header is equal to none to make that first row go down. And then you'll put names as whatever you want. So whatever headers that you wanted, that is what you're going to choose. Okay. So one last thing before I end this lecture. We have understood how to get the CSV. What if you had a ton of data? So let's see here. What if I only wanted maybe one column or max 2 columns? So right now we have 4 columns. One is pizza, one is cat, one is dog, one is cheese. Again, they're not the best columns. You could have probably chosen some better names. But what if I only wanted the first 2 columns and I really didn't care about the dog, cheese? What did I do about it then? So the next parameter we're going to be talking about is called the useCalls parameter. So let's go ahead and just get that test data back. pd.readCSV, testdata.csv, and let's go ahead and go back to our normal columns. Okay, date ABC. So what if I only wanted date and A? How does that work? So the function again is going to be the useCalls function. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back down. And in here, pass the parameter useCalls. So useCalls again is short form for useColumns, and you basically specify an array of which columns you use or you want to use. And in this, you can either specify the name of the column, so you can do something like, oops, I'm sorry. You can either do something like date, A, okay? And again, that gives me an error saying it's not in the list. So the better way to do it is actually to just specify the number. So what position is that column on? Date is 0, A is 1. So immediately we get date equal to whatever it was, and the other 2 columns are gone. So pd.readCSV, testdata.csv, and then using the useCalls function, what you can do is you can specify which columns you want to use. For example, if I want the first column and I only want maybe the third column and the fourth column, no, I don't want the second column, I'd use something like this. Use calls 0, 2, 3, hit enter, I get date, B, and C. Alright, awesome job guys. In this lecture, we learned how to read a simple CSV and play around with the data, you know, specifying which columns you want, specifying how to get those headers, change up the headers and stuff. But great job. In the next lecture, we'll learn how to write to a CSV. So now that we've played around with the data, how can we export it out back as a new CSV file? Okay, so see you in the next lecture.